Okay, so today we're going to be looking at how I did this shot from the fake trailer for The Chosen, this sort of Handycam Nightshot handheld effect. Okay, so first things first, here's the footage. I've got this 5-second clip of Andy just looking out the window. I have this title safe and action safe from After Effects. It just kind of reminds me of the sort of framing grid you see in the LCD viewfinder, those old high-8 cameras. And I have this scanlines image I just got from Google Image Search. It's a lot of black and white horizontal lines. So I'm going to bring these into After Effects. First thing you do is take your footage down and make a new comp from it. First thing I did is I bring out the scan lines, and it's just going to look like a big grey solid, but that's because the black and white lines are so close together. So if you enlarge it until you get a sort of size that you want, what you're looking for is something that looks like kind of CCTV crappy footage. I think that works pretty good. So I changed the blending mode to darken, and that's just going to leave the black lines and get rid of all the white stuff. And it still darkens the footage a little too much, so I'm going to go in here and I'm going to turn the opacity down to about 40%. That looks pretty good. Next thing I do is I'm going to add on the frame. So I drag it out. I'm going to size it down, stretch it to fit the frame. Now with this one, there we go. This one, we're going to use add, I think. So one that gets rid of the black and leaves the white lines the brightest. Yeah, it's add. But I'm going to go in here and get rid of the title safe and action safe bit. Go up here and get your rectangle masking tool. Mask out title safe. Turn it to subtract. And mask out action safe. Turn it to subtract. And now you have your crappy looking footage, and it's got the frame on it. And you could leave it here if you just want it to look like it came from a crappy Handycam, but what I'm going to do is make it look night footage. So I get this effect called Tritone, bring it onto the footage. What this does is it lets you adjust the color the shadows are, the midtones and the highlights. So you leave the shadows at black, you leave the highlights at white. You go into the midtones and you're going to make it a sort of a dark greenish color that kind of looks like a Nightvision. Just kind of toy around with it till you find something that looks kind of good. I think that looks pretty good right about there. Now, to sort of sell the effect, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add some grain. The first thing I want to do is make a new adjustment layer. I'm going to put that between our frame layer and the scan lines. I'm going to go over here and get the add grain effect, put it on the adjustment layer. This little preview window is so you can see how much grain you're adding without really, like, slowing down your computer. But when you go to render it out, you turn it to final output, so it fills the whole frame. And what the grain does is it just adds these random pixels that sort of animate and jump around as you go through your timeline, and that just sort of simulates not enough light hitting a sensor in your camera, sort of a low light situation. What I do with mine is I go into color and turn it to monochromatic, which puts it black and white instead of these red, white, and blue pixels. And even with color footage, I think monochromatic looks a bit better, looks more realistic. So I'm just going to find a level that I think works with this footage. Yeah, 3 looks pretty good. So let's do a preview of that. So that's looking pretty good, and I'm pretty sure that's where I left it for the trailer. But the next thing I want to do, and what I usually do with these sort of Handycam type videos, is I'm going to add some camera shake as if it's in someone's hands. And there are much more detailed and better tutorials on this. I'm just going to do it sort of quickly to give the idea. So what we do is we go down to our bottom footage layer, and we bring up the position. We set a keyframe at the start, the first frame. We're going to set a keyframe on the last frame. Now we select those 2 keyframes and we go over to the little window here that says Wiggler. If you can't see it, it's just up here in Window, Wiggler, and it'll pop up. Now, let's see. Okay, 5 times per second. Gonna set that to maybe 2.5. And jagged. Smooth is good if you're doing much bigger moves, like if that's up much higher. But for small little ones to make it look handheld, I like jagged. So let's see how that looks. Alright, immediately you can see that you get all these intermediate keyframes and that your footage is moving around a little bit up here. What you will get, I mean, this is only 2.5, so you're not going to get a whole lot. But again, if it's bigger, you'll get a little, let's see if we can find it here. You'll get some black pixels on the edge. This barely moves at all. Just some empty pixels on the edge. Now, there's a couple ways to fix that. If it's only a small bit, like this is, you can just enlarge or scale up the footage a little bit, and then no matter how much it moves around, you won't get any empty pixels on the side. So let's see how that looks. So you can see that sort of looks like someone's holding it, and it's sort of moving around. Maybe it's zoomed in, and usually I leave it there. But even if you want to go a step further, you can add little details like text, rec, or what I did somewhere else in the trailer was I added a slightly darker than red solid. Took a little elliptical mask. Just made a small circle. We'll feather that a bit now. Maybe 4 pixels should do. And turn the opacity down just a smidge. So, put that up in the corner maybe and keyframe the opacity so it flickers on and off throughout the video. I did that somewhere else. You can do all those sort of things, but this is sort of the basics to get that Nightshot look, to get the degraded quality look, and to get a little bit of a handheld shake. And again, you can take out any bit of those. Like you could, let's say we turn off Nightshot there. So now it's still grainy, it's still handheld, it's still degraded with the lines and the frames and everything. So you can just take those separate techniques and apply them as you wish. If you came here from Tube Trials, please consider subscribing. I'm going to be doing more of these effects videos and tutorials along with them soon to come. And if you're coming from my channel, please check out Tube Trials. It's the YouTube game show that I'm a member of. This tutorial is linked to a video I did for that. So please check that out and support the guy running it. And please support me. Thanks.